Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching again. Shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guests.
Hi, I'm Joey.
Hello, I'm David, and we are
Never Sunny.
Hello. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us each a little bit about, who you are individually and what you do in the band and such.
I am Joey. I play rhythm guitar and do backup vocals, and I've been doing music probably for about 20 years now.
Oh, yeah.
And about 15 of it I've been doing with this guy. And I was in the Navy for 8 years. I'm in school to be a nurse, and I love doing this stuff. I love getting to talk to people like you, Jimmy, and just being able to be out here and supporting our music and trying to push this thing as far as it'll go.
Oh, yeah. You're a real Joey of all trades.
That's right.
And then what about you?
Yeah, kind of the same answer. I've been doing music for a real long time, and most of it's been with this kid. I moved a lot school-wise in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up at Oregon City High School, where I ran into him, and we just clicked from the jump and wanted the same things. And once we started doing it together, we couldn't imagine doing it without. So we were in a band together from 2008 to 2011 or so. Splash Attack. It was it was our first kind of jump at the pop punk music scene.
Mm-hmm.
And took a big hiatus. He went to the Navy. I toured with other bands, and I just wanted to get a taste of the road. And now we're back here. I think we both kind of just took a hiatus from music to focus on other things, and realized that this was still a big itch that needed to be scratched.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get into more of like the band dynamic in just a moment. I want to kind of go backwards just a little bit. For each of you guys, like growing up, were you in like musical households, or are you like first generation musicians?
I am a first generation musician. I grew up with my dad only listening to the Eagles in the car, and my mom only listening to like Garth Brooks.
Okay.
So I kind of had to forge my own way, because I was like, I don't like any of this stuff. I'm a rock with something else. And originally it was like Backstreet Boys, and then it turned into my brother gave me Enema of the State, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I could see myself doing this, and then just it all kind of evolved from there. I just really got into the pop punk scene, and just as much pop punk as I could take in. That's kind of where I got started with music.
Oh, yeah. I dig that.
For me, yeah, my dad's a huge musician. If it wasn't for him, I don't know what direction I'd be in. But at a young age, he was showing me Rush. I was really into prog rock.
Gotcha.
I know every record. I know every song on every record. I'm a big Neil Peart fan. And again, yeah, Eagles and the Beatles. He showed me just kind of the laying grounds of some of the best music that came around, and I just wanted to be just like my dad, right? And so started on the drums and worked my way up. I realized you can't write melody on drums, so I swapped over to guitar and piano and anything that I could write with, and now I'm a singer. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I dig that. Now, before we get into more of what y'all do in the present day, I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on. This first one's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you each bought with your own money?
Ooh, with my own money, I think I bought two at the same time because I saw them in AP Magazine. I bought Jutrana by Circus Survive.
Okay.
And I bought Chroma by Cartel. And those were the two. They were featured in the same issue. And I was like, I like the album art. I want to check these bands out. And I don't regret it at all because those are both two of the best albums I've ever heard.
I haven't heard Cartel in a while.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Chroma is
a cool name drop.
Chroma is a banger.
Hell yeah.
So good.
Hell yeah. And then what about you?
Man, if I remember correctly, I bought a lot. We were right next to a Walmart, so I was in there all the time, scouting CDs and stuff like that. And any chance that I got, I would get something. I think first one was probably Creed.
Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Legit. Yeah. I think first record I bought was Creed. If it wasn't that, it was like the Vines.
Yeah.
I bought the Vines first record when they came out. But man, it's kind of a tough one or the other. Either one's crazy.
I gotcha. And then what was one of the first live shows you each went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to? So like you saw it was happening, got tickets, went to it.
The first show I ever went to was Real Big Fish.
Okay.
That was because my friend wanted to go and I was like, okay, I'll go. It was a great show, great band. And then probably the first one that I wanted to go to personally, like myself, that I actually did end up going to, probably was one that we went to together, and it was Fall of Troy.
Oh, okay.
And that was still to this day the best show I've ever been to. The first time I saw Fall of Troy at Hawthorne Theater, it was nutty.
Damn.
That was such a good bill. They put on such a good show.
So who played with them?
It was Deer Hunter and Foxy.
Foxy.
Okay.
Sam, yeah.
Pretty or Tickle Me Pink, yeah.
No, that was the second time we saw Foxy.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw Foxy again with Tickle Me Pink. But yeah, I think it was Deer Hunter and Foxy Shazam.
Yeah.
And the Fall of Troy headlined. And it was just
wild.
I was so dehydrated from being in the pit the entire time that I went to the bathroom and I was just funneling water from the sink into my mouth on my face. And literally, if you've ever been to the Hawthorne Theater, like it kind of locks, but not really. And somebody bursts into the bathroom while I'm like just funneling this water into my face. And they're like, they're playing FCP. And I was like, okay. And just ran back into the pit. And I remember I threw up outside after, but it was a great show. It was a great show.
It was.
Hell yeah.
For me, first show ever was Creedence Clearwater, no John Fogerty. So that was like my mom trying to get me involved. And it was cool. It was like Clackamas County Fair or something like that.
Okay.
It opened my eyes to, some stuff, but you're missing the best part of that group. But yeah, I think that's correct for me too. I think Fall of Troy was the first show that I paid money. We all wanted to be there. And yeah, I mean, it was wild. I did not go into the pit. I stayed safe on the sidelines. But that show opened us up to Foxy, who we fell in love with, went and saw multiple shows. I mean, it was pretty great.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, I dig that. Well, that sounds like a pretty wild time.
That was good. It was a good show.
And then before we officially get into it, do you each have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
Probably, I would say it was when we played Roseland Theater. That was the first time that I was like, oh, this is like big. This could be like something that I do forever.
Yeah. Instead
of just like, because we played Satyricon every weekend, like constantly when it was open. And, it was fun, but it's a small venue. We played with a lot of shitty bands and it was what it was. And then we got to do the Roseland and then it was like, oh, this is a different ball game. This is a whole different venue. It's a whole different ball game. So yeah, probably that, I'd say.
I was much younger, I think. For me, it was a buddy's brother who ended up being our bass player in Splash Attack and just a longtime friend and somebody I still confide in to this day, Jeff Lopez. I saw him singing vocals in an old band back in the day, and I'm front row, and I'm just watching this guy just own it, own the stage, own the crowd. And it was at that moment, I think for me, I was probably 13. And I didn't realize that was something you could do, that you could do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want that. I want to be in his place. I want to own the stage and give the crowd a show like that every time. And I knew that at that point, that's just what I wanted to do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I dig that. That's rad. All right. Well, let's go ahead then. Let's get on into y'all in the present day. We are going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the band name?
So we were super undecided on what we wanted to call this band. And we ended up having like a March Madness bracket in an Excel sheet. So we each brought 5 names to the table that we thought would be good names. We all voted on those 5, and the best one of each of us made it to the final round. And then we voted on those 5. And whoever it ended up being, my pick, which was Never Sunny. The reason why I wanted to call us Never Sunny is kind of trifold. It's never sunny in the Northwest.
Very true.
It's, it always rains here. There's a song by my favorite band in the world, the Wonder Years, called It's Never Sunny in South Philadelphia, which is off the Upsides, which is one of my favorite, probably my favorite pop punk album ever. And it's kind of an ode to the show Always Sunny. And we kind of encapsulated all 3 of those things in one, and it just kind of worked out.
Gotcha.
I'll add to that and say he's shortening it. We all started with 20.
Oh, damn.
20 names and picked 5 out of the 20. This was like a 2-hour process over Discord.
Okay.
But each person had 20 names. We picked 5 and then went to one, and I'll tell you what, we got to the last 5, and any of those 5, we recognized that any of those 5 could have been it. I mean, we would have been okay. But once Never Sunny was present against those 5, it was unanimous. I think everybody just knew. Yeah. That's it.
I mean, it's a good name.
Yeah.
It's a good name. They're both easy words to remember. They're easy words to spell. They look good together. Like, as far as like different fonts go, as far as layout goes, like it just works. So all in all, definitely hit the nail on the head with the name there.
Thank you.
I am curious. What do you remember? What lost to it as the like second to like name to pick?
Yeah, it was Mickey's.
You remember what it was?
It's 4 words. I know that. And it was, man, that's tough. I know that we have the Excel sheet somewhere.
Yeah, I do. I think it's on my Google Drive.
I remember that it was, that was going to be the next one. If it wasn't Never Sunny, it was going to be that.
Okay. Well, I was just curious.
We even discussed using that as like a title name for the record.
Oh, that's right.
It was still so good.
Okay.
Ended up not going that route, but yeah, I mean, there were some good names. There were some really good names on there.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine if you start with 20, narrow it down to 5, and then take 5 from those 5 and then narrow it down to 1, you probably got some that weren't terrible. You know what I mean?
Ultimately, the most fair.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't care who you are, doing something with 5 guys.
Yeah.
And everybody's got an ego, and having to set that ego aside to accept that whatever the democracy is what it is going to be. It's not as easy as it looks, but we just handled it so well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you guys for sharing that. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process a little bit. And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. So when y'all get inspired, you're ready to make music. How does the band go about putting a track together?
I'll let you
take
this.
Jump in on that one real quick. I think it's different for everybody in the group. Me and Joey have been together 15 years, and we've established a pretty solid platform for the way that we operate. If we're talking personally, me, if I'm writing a song, I write it in its entirety. I write the guitars, bass, drums, not the finalized version, but an idea, and then I'll throw it to the boys to be like, make it your own. Right? Never Sunny is not. It's not me. It's when the other boys get involved and everything else. So I'll write a song in its entirety, send it to the boys. The boys then track their parts, make it their own, send it back. I do a really horrible mix. But we have a demo that then we will meet at band practice and go over and do that. If it's me and Joey and we are adamant about working on the song together, I'm sending him ideas. He's sending me back ideas. We're kind of going back and forth. I may write a lyric and he goes, hey, that lyric, everything about this is great. That lyric just doesn't fit. What if we do this? Sometimes the verse is right, but the chorus isn't, and Joey will come with a banging chorus. And I think that's just proper teamwork. Recognizing where the weak points of the song is, being able to take that criticism and not be upset by it, but trust in the other people. And but that's kind of how it goes down, really, for the most part.
Gotcha. And then, do you have anything to add, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, like he said, he's a very complete person when he brings a song to the table. I, on the other hand, it's not. I have to have my guitar part pretty much locked down. Like, I have to figure out what I'm doing musically before I can put words to it, before I can put melody to it. Like, I have to have that bass line, because if I just write words, it's just poetry and it doesn't mean anything, and I don't resonate with it. Like, they could be the best words and they could end up being the final words for the song, but I'll just throw them away because I'm like, it's just I don't know what this is. Like, and just having that baseline of just something that I put down, like, it might not even be the final product, but just having something to write to it helps me so much as a writer. And that's why it's great with him. He sends me everything and I'm like, sick. I can work with this because it's done. Like, I know what I'm playing now. I'll make little fine-tuning things, especially in the guitar department, but usually it's what he sends me is pretty fucking great. So
I dig that. And then does everybody in the band write, or are you two guys like the primary ones bringing stuff to the table and everybody kind of builds from that?
Comfortably, I'll say it's me and Joey. I believe that everybody plays their role in the process. When we come up with the song, it is their job to take said parts and make it them. Right? And I think that's where they come in and kind of, so everybody gets their hand in it. Obviously, we're always open to suggestions. So if somebody hears something and goes, hey, let's change the transition here, it's never like, no, we wrote it this way, right? We're always like, dude, let's do it. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. The other thing I'll mention too, and I'm sure we'll probably touch on that, but we have everything written out and ready to go as a team, and then we go into the studio and it comes out totally, it never comes out the same way that you went in, right? Yeah. There's a lot of decision making going in, even at the studio, with everybody going, hey, I hear this, let's change this. And but yeah.
No, I think we're the primary writers in the sense that we provide the structure and the bones for a song. Yeah. We bring that to the table. We say, hey, this is a baseline idea of what we think a song could be. And then Jordan does his thing on the drums. Mickey spices it up tenfold with the lead guitar. And then Matt comes in with the bass, and we get a banging song out of it. And it comes from, it's just, we give it the skeleton of it, and they flesh out everything.
They elevate it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Hell yeah. And then when it comes to like creative differences and such, how does that usually get handled?
I mean, it's, when you're working with 5 people that are all artists in their own right, it's always going to be, a difficult thing to work on. I feel like we do a pretty good job at mitigating it. But yeah, I mean, it's hard when especially if you come attached to the song. Like if you bring it to the table and you're extremely attached and you're like, it's not changed. Like I brought an acoustic song to the table like 2 years ago, and I thought it was my masterpiece. I thought it was my magnum opus. I thought it was perfect. And David wanted to change it, and I was like, well, I don't want to do it then. And then I realized I just got to trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could think it's perfect, but if he doesn't hear it as perfect, then it's probably not perfect. Like, I have to just trust in these guys and trust that they have the song's best interest at heart. They might not have my best interest, but they have the song's best interest at heart. And I think that's where, we end up with the best product most of the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It goes back to the whole, we're 5 artists with 5 egos. Everybody's got it. And it's just about how much we're willing to set that ego aside. And again, trust. I mean, we know that we're working with these guys for a reason, right? They're good at their job. We need to trust in the team here. And sometimes it's not everybody, right? We do the best that we can to keep this as democratic as possible. But sometimes it doesn't go the way that somebody wants it to go. We all own it, and we all deal with what it is. And in the end, we still love everything that we create. But man, it's tough. There's definitely adversity there, and this is not for the weak. You see a lot of bands get together and break up real quick. It's these tough situations to get over that help these bands stay for the long haul.
Yeah.
So.
Hell yeah. Well, I think you nailed it too by saying having the song interest in mind, the end experience versus just like what you're hearing initially, I think. And also I think that at the end of the day, there is technically no perfect version of a song. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, it can go both ways. Like neither one is wrong, but if one person who's a part of it is going to have more fun playing that element of it in that way, and you can still have fun playing your elements in your way, and at the end of the day, I think it still works out pretty well.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
And then when you guys are writing, do you try to aim for like a certain sound or a certain direction? Like, are you guys trying to keep it kind of under an umbrella, or are you usually pretty opening to like diversifying?
I mean, I think we have an idea of what we would like to sound like in mind, but at the end of the day, I think we all come from such diverse musical backgrounds. Like me and Dave were in pop punk bands. Jordan and Mickey were in like metalcore bands, like not anything that we ever touched.
Yeah.
So their spin on things only enhances what we do and makes our music so much more interesting, because if we were just playing straight D beats the whole time, nobody would care.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be interesting.
Niche crowd.
But having Jordan doing his little metalcore stuff with, adding double bass where maybe that wasn't really in the service of a pop punk song, but it sure does pop the track. And like having Mickey sprinkling these disgusting chords over things, like he really does have an ear for making a complex thing from me, the rhythm guitar player, just playing root notes.
Yeah,
that's all I'm doing. I know my role, I know my job, I do it good, but he makes it so much more interesting by adding his spin. And it's not necessarily like, we don't go into it with, it's going to sound like a Neck Deep song, or it's going to sound like a Never Sunny song, and we're going to make it sound like that.
And it's never sunny. It's never sunny unless it's Mickey on that guitar, and unless it's Jordan on those drums, unless it's Matt on the bass. It's just facts. What they bring to the table is what makes the sound.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I dig that. And then how long does it usually take you guys to feel comfortable to perform a track once you've started writing it?
I think it varies for each person. I think I feel pretty comfortable rather quickly. I don't have complex parts. I do have 2 jobs, so I do have to learn the words and the music and learn how to do it at the same time. But even then, I feel like I pick it up quickly. Some people in the band don't pick it up as quickly, and it takes them a little bit longer. But I think at the end of the day, we're probably show ready for a song in, I don't know, 3 weeks to a month, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just
Ballpark.
about how seriously we take it, right?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are all of the of the caliber. It's where we can spin a song out pretty quickly. But then, so many other things factor into it. Where do we want to really hold back and market the crap out of this thing and do that? Or like, are we cool to just toss it out there? And I think that just plays a major thing too. How long is our set? Do we want to throw a new one in there because we got to play a 45 instead of a 30? So I think all that kind of plays into it. But yeah, I mean, if the job is to create a song and turn it around, we can get it done pretty quickly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I dig that. And then as a band, do y'all have any like pre-show rituals you do?
Drink? Nah, I don't know. Matt usually goes and disappears for like an hour and goes and gets food.
Yeah.
We never know where he is. He just like shows up, drops his bass, and leaves. So that's cool. He's the bass player. He can do whatever he wants. Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
I'm a bass player.
Oh well.
Well, this interview's over.
Sorry,
I'm kidding.
Sorry, Jimmy. But no, I think we get there early and we sit through every set and we watch everyone, because I think that's what, even if we're headlining, like I think that's what you should do, especially in the local scene. Like you show up, you support the other bands. Like they came to play on your bill. Like
exactly.
Show up, be there, be engaged, like hype them up. Like I think that's just your job especially as a local musician. Like we should do that.
Yeah. See, I was always in when I was in my last band when I was up here, we almost always headlined because we were always organizing the shows.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where it's like we were showing up early anyways, you know what I mean? Like we had to make sure everything was running smoothly. We wanted to get our stuff in so that it was like at the back of everybody else's stuff so they could get theirs out of the way as it went. But yeah, also it's just, I don't know, it's cool to see what else other people are bringing to the table. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, to add to that, the show's not over when we're done playing. If we're not headlining the set, and we play second or third or something to the headliner.
Yeah.
Show's not over when we're off the stage. There's merch to be sold.
Exactly.
There's people to be met. Pictures to be taken, but also supporting the team. That show, that bill, if your name is on that bill, it's not just you, it's the show. You are part of this show.
Exactly.
How are you going to make, whatever are you going to do, even when you're not on stage, to make the show the best it can be? I think that resonates with a lot of people. Shout out specifically Duncan from Hard Pill for
shout out
hooking
Duncan.
us up with our first show. Hard Pill is not anywhere near our genre at all, but he was just he is such a compassionate and welcoming individual that he threw us on an awesome bill. We played it, we rocked it, we stayed for all of Hard Pill and had the best time ever because they put on such a great set.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, dude.
What a cool human Duncan is.
Absolutely.
Very much.
Such a cool human.
Love you, Hard Pill.
Hell yeah. All right, now I want to take a moment then, and I want to talk about y'all's music. So I jumped on Yield Spotify, and you've mostly got all your tracks on there from 2024, it looks like. But I did check out the full EP, gave it a good grand listen, and it's really cool. I'm a big fan. It's a lot of the sounds like I grew up on, which was nice. So it had that familiarity to it. But for being familiar sounding, it didn't feel dated. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like you guys were just trying to bring back what was old and make it new. It felt, the progressions are strong. The sound is really full. And you definitely found ways to like keep it fresh throughout the whole thing. Like, even like the piano in Existential Dread. I thought that was a really nice touch. You know what I mean? It's those little things listening all the way through. And, I thought it was interesting you guys decided to go self-titled for your first EP. And there was a track that really stood out to me. And I was going to talk about Miss This Game, but that track might show up on another segment I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to hold off on it from now. And I want to talk about We Fall Together. Because that track was, first of all, for being an ending track, it was like upbeat-esque instrumentally. It was almost like whimsically melancholic, if that makes sense. And I really appreciate how like it was melodic all the way through. The vocals, the guitars, the horns
Yeah.
Were those real horns or were those?
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
we paid some Ukrainian guys on Fiverr to do that whole horn section.
Damn.
Yeah, so they
Well,
were
turned out
like
great.
They
Yeah,
did great.
it
They
was
did
crazy.
a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
don't remember their name, but thank you.
yeah. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, as a whole, the EP is really well put together. It's a really cool experience. But I am curious to know, out of all the tracks you guys have available and or are playing out right now, what are some of your favorite tracks to perform?
Performance wise, I think I have the most fun playing on the inside.
Mhm.
I wrote that riff like 10 years ago as kind of like a 4 Year Strong-esque, like try to emulate what they do.
Mhm.
And it just turned out to be a super, super fun song for us to play live. Like it's balls to the wall the entire time. There's no breaks. It's just from beat one to the last note, there's just no stopping. And I think that's probably my favorite song to play live for sure.
Oh yeah.
That's tough. Yeah. I mean, On the Inside's up there for sure. I think probably favorite is probably Trauma Olympics for me, more or less because I get to engage with the crowd a little bit more. And that the chorus on Trauma it just begs for the crowd to scream it back at you. The chorus is written to echo. And when you hear it from them, it just makes you feel like you've done everything you needed to do for that moment. And it feels so good.
Oh yeah. No, I'm a big fan of crowd participation. Anytime you can create something where people can figure out fast enough that even if they don't know it's coming, they can do it. It's a really special moment in music for sure. All right. Now, before we move on to the next portion, this next question is for each of you individually, and it's probably the densest question in the interview. But we talked about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to each of you?
Jeez.
Yeah, that is
Great
dense.
question,
That is dense.
man.
I think music for me has always been something of like an escape. It's always been, I don't listen to music as much as I used to when I was younger. I'm busy with school. I'm busy with real life. Like it's harder. But when I actually take the time to like sit down and listen to music, it is an escape. It is, it takes away from those problems that may be happening in your real life. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what music is supposed to be. And that's what I hope our music does for people, is allows them that brief respite from their real lives and their problems and all of that stuff. And I think, that's what really made me fall in love with like pop punk and emotional music like that, is because I related to it so hard, especially in my early 20s. Like I struggled a lot, and that's why I have the Wonder Years tattooed on me, because I listened to the Upsides and I was like, I think he wrote this album for me. And that's, if the biggest compliment I think you can pay a musician is like, you wrote this for me. You don't know me, like we've never met, but I feel like you wrote this track to get me through this hard time. And I think that's what it really, that's what it is for me. Yeah.
I'm just gonna jump off of what you said, because I think that's true. I think that music is biblical in a sense where it guides you through your life, right? Like I've made some major life decisions based off of the music that was around at the time that I had to make those decisions. I confide in the music almost as a guidance. Sometimes not on purpose, but that tends to be it. You get a hard breakup in high school or something, and it's the music that you're listening to that's going to get you through it and ultimately get you over it and moving forward, right? Making tough decisions about what you're going to be, what type of person you're going to be, who you're going to be, and the career moves you're going to take. I think ultimately music has always guided me in those directions. You listen to music everywhere you go. If you're in the car, you've got the radio on. Everybody's got Apple earbuds in wherever they go. I mean, even at work, right? I I just think it's such an essential. It's air, it's water, right? In the moments where I can get away from it all and escape and just listen to the music, it's the most therapeutic thing in the world. It helps with my anxiety. It helps with aids in my depression. I think it's just adamantly important, no matter what.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys both for sharing that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions. And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If the band could share a bill with any currently performing act, who would you each want it to be?
The Wonder Years.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
I was going to say, yeah.
Super easy.
Teed you up for that
It's
one.
literally so easy. Yeah. Ideally, yeah, the Wonder Years, and I would love to play with The Story So Far. I would love to play with 4 Years Strong.
Hell yeah.
Just because of like what those bands meant to me growing up. And they're just they're still hitters in the scene. Like they're.
Yeah. I was gonna say we're lucky that the bands we grew up with are either still around or coming back.
Yeah,
making the comeback.
Yeah, that
no joke.
That festival in Vegas really opened the floodgates for everybody to be like, we could do this again. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, you said the ones that I would, Neck Deep, any of those guys that are just dominating the scene right now, Knuckle Puck. But I mean, I would go even further. I think for me, Fall Out Boy, let's do some arenas, right?
Hell yeah.
They are a band much like Blink or I will even throw The Story So Far in there, that have gotten big enough that it's not just it's the arenas, it's big time shows, and I would love the opportunity to do that for sure. But
I got to see Fall Out Boy live like a while ago
when it was
when they were at like just the peak of what they were doing, and it was like they were the headlining group for sure. It was at an arena, or it wasn't an arena per se. It was like a large amphitheater.
Sure.
There you go.
It might as well have been. And we were like at the stage.
Man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And like they came out and they shot out of the stage. Like I'm talking like they didn't come up on it. They were in the air and then came back down. Like
I wanted that legit.
It was, it was,
That's crazy.
It was incredible. I was just like, oh, I am here for something I was not, because I wasn't exactly there for them at the time. Like I knew them, but I was like with somebody who like really wanted to see them. And there were a couple other groups that were also going to be performing that I wanted to see. So I was like, all right, I'll tag along. By the time I left, I was like, I get it now.
Yeah,
I get it. These guys have got something for sure.
Yeah, they definitely figured it out.
Yeah,
that's why they're still doing it and still, playing arenas, and
for sure.
The sounds changed, but they're still doing their thing. So
yeah, very. I mean, I feel like, and I talked about this on a different episode. It was a recent one. There comes a point in time where like you stop writing for your primary audience and you start writing for other parts of the country, other parts of the world, like stuff that's going to translate across multiple realms, and then even like into realms that like you didn't get to connect with before, to like broaden your experience even further.
Yeah, and a lot of people will take that almost, the true, the true heavy Fall Out Boy fans from back in the day call it them selling out.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, I will never see it that way. I see it like that, where it's just a different avenue to be able to go. Oh, music overseas is different.
Yeah,
it's a different ball game, and to be able to establish and create music that can take you further that just shows how strong of musicians you are.
Yeah.
And I'm just impressed all the way.
Yeah. And then subsequently, who's a local act that y'all are aware of that you haven't gotten to work with yet, or like, I guess, share the stage with yet, but you would like to?
There's a couple. I've got a couple. You have?
Yeah, I mean, we've always, ever since we came out, we've drawn comparisons to All Hype.
Oh, hell yeah. Shout out All Hype.
We've All Hype. Got to do a show.
We'd love to play with you guys. We would love to. Yeah, we've always drawn comparisons to them ever since we hit the scene, and I think that would be a bill that makes sense.
Yeah.
To have us both on the same bill.
Be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll throw Chlorine in there too.
Yeah.
These are things that we've reached out to the guys and definitely had conversations and stuff. Just finding the right time, right place, and all that. They're busy. These are busy dudes.
They just got back from Japan, didn't they?
All Hype did, yeah. And Chlorine just had a tour not too long ago too. I mean, these are guys that stay busy. But for real, we got to do it.
Well, everybody, you know what to do.
Gotta do it.
At them in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
And then for this next one, this is the fun question. This is a little bit of a silly question, but we're gonna put it here. If the band's music could be the soundtrack to any movie, which movie would you pick?
Van Wilder.
Okay.
Because Sugar Cult got to do the whole soundtrack for that, so why can't we do it?
Yeah, I always jump to like American Pie.
Okay.
It would be dope to have something like that. Those late 90s, early 2000s, like kind of raunchy comedies. I think that would be right up our alley. For absolutely.
Soundtracks.
Fear Fest.
Yeah. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Broken Lizard. Would be cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Hell yeah. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could each add one abstract instrument to the band, so like no keys, no saxophone, no, like really, really push the boundaries here, what would you each want to add?
I've got mine.
Go ahead.
Man, it would be like a sitar.
Okay.
Right? There's a couple of songs that we're working on for the new record. We're going into the studio in March to record. We're ready to go. I'm super stoked. But there's a couple of songs in there that definitely push our boundary on what we would normally do. I think we're experimenting with vibe and sound a lot more on this record. And there's like 2 songs on there that, man, if you got creative enough, a sitar would sit real nicely, or like a slide guitar would be nice. But yeah, that's me.
Well, I don't know. I saw this Instagram reel of this guy playing drums, and he has like a Theragun, and he's using it on the side of like a sheet metal like warehouse, and he's like playing the sound of the like instant vibrations on the sheet metal and then playing drum beats with it. So yeah, I think a Theragun on a sheet metal wall would be my instrument that I would add. Yeah.
Okay, that might be one of the most abstract answers.
Yeah, it would get pretty dark, but I'm into it. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, if anybody's got a Theragun,
yeah, hit us up.
Yes. All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and June?
Well, we'll be in the studio in March. Hopefully, we're going to be starting to play shows in April, and we have a pretty big show that is getting lined up in June that we can't necessarily talk about yet, but we are extremely excited about, and might be one of the biggest shows that we ever play. So as long as that all falls through and works out, that'll be the biggest part for us. But just getting in the studio and playing shows.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, lots of new merch coming out. We're big on we don't like to recreate the same merch. Every time that we do a merch drop, it's new. It's something different, limited. And we've got some new stuff coming out. Again, we're working on the new record early March. It should be done by April. We're back on shows in April, and so anybody who didn't get a chance to see us yet, get prepared. This year we want to stay super busy. I think that also, I just want to shout out, BSB TV over in the UK. We'll be working with them a lot this year too. If you don't know who they are, check them out. But they really, they have supported us super strong on this first record. Miss This Game won Song of the Year over in the UK with them, and we're super grateful for that. But there's a lot of stuff with them happening too, and I'm really excited for that as well.
Hell yeah. We'll definitely looking forward to all that. For this next one, then, go and look straight at your cameras. Tell everybody how they can find you.
On Instagram at Never Sunny Band. We've got a little link tree in there. You can find our merch store. You can find our Spotify. You can find everything. But yeah, go give us a follow at Never Sunny Band.
Yeah. And if that's too difficult, just Google at Never Sunny. I'm sure it'll all pop up there too.
You might get a Wonder Year song, but just scroll down a little bit.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else y'all want to put on while you're on here?
Shout out to everybody who's been on this show. Shout out to Jimmy's Jambox. This is such a great platform. I'm excited for how this is just going to elevate in the future for you, and the fact that you showcase artists, that's huge, and it's really important to us.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you. But shout out to everybody who's been on here before us. I know a lot of you guys, and have nothing but the utmost respect for you, and this is just an honor to be on this.
Shout out Duncan. Glad you're feeling better, buddy.
Yeah.
Get better.
Hell yeah. All right. Then with that being said, we've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Raw Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your guys' interpretation. But in all of music, what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? So it's a bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
You're going to be better at that than I am. Obscure record.
That is a good question. God. I would say, I think it's called Listen and Forgive, by Transit. That's one of the, I saw them play, when Taking Back Sunday, they were doing their 10-year Tell All Your Friends anniversary, and Transit and Bayside opened for them. That was my first time seeing Transit, and I got to talk to their singer when we got out of the show. He just stopped me and was like, I was the only person there. He just spent 5 minutes talking to me like nobody else was trying to talk to him. It was the coolest moment. They broke up. Still a great band. Still, if you want, Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy's on the record, on All Your Heart. But yeah, Listen and Forgive by Transit is one of my favorite albums that probably a lot of people haven't heard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. I don't know about obscure. I will say there's a lot of records that I wish people knew more about. Obscure, I don't want to say obscure. I think there's a girl out right now. Her name is Karuk, and everything that she puts out is just amazing.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know about her whenever I try and talk about her, but we went and saw her
she's awesome.
live, and she was phenomenal. I think that what she's doing is incredible. That I again, not obscure, but man, if y'all haven't heard Karuk, you should listen. She is incredibly gifted.
Yeah, that is a cool rec.
Yeah.
All right, guys. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Appreciated.
And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Joey.
I'm David.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.